Singing is the lowest form of communication.
Maria Callas said to sing is an expression of your being. Edith Piaf said singing was a way of escaping. And yes, Homer, the other Homer, said it was the lowest form of communication. What do you think? Why do we sing? Where does the voice come from? My name is Karen Myatt, and I pose these questions and more to some of the greatest singers of our time. Welcome to La Voce Vita. It is an absolute honor to introduce today's guest, Grammy Award nominee, 7-time Blues Music Award winner. The Blues Foundation named her the 2009 B.B. King Entertainer of the Year, only the second woman ever to be honored with that title. And to date, she has released no less than 17 albums. It is my pleasure to welcome JANIVA Magness. JANIVA, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks for persisting,
Yes.
and staying to make this happen. It's only been, what, 2 years, maybe 3?
So I have to tell you first, I'm not an audiobook gal. I love reading. I love holding a book, but in the case of your memoir, Weeds Like Us, I'm really grateful that I listened to it, mainly because you narrate it yourself. And it's such an amazing story, but to hear it in your own words and then furthermore in your own voice was, I have to say, a really profoundly beautiful experience. So I want to thank you for that first.
Welcome. Thank you for the support and having the courage for the book, because the book takes some courage, I'm told.
Yeah, I laughed with you and I cried with you a lot. So if you don't mind, tell us a bit about where you're originally from and how you got started in music.
Right. So I'm originally from Detroit, the Detroit area. It's cold. And you know about cold? I know you do.
Yep.
So it's cold there and it's beautiful there, and the people are very strong. Seems that cold brings with it those sort of temperatures, sub-zero, that kind of stuff tends to bring with it a certain amount of steel, if you will, in the people, as we are evidenced these days from what we're witnessing in Minneapolis.
Right. Absolutely.
I spent a lot of time in Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities, and that was my early exposure to live music, and specifically blues in particular. And I could not be more grateful for that. But I'm originally from Detroit, spent a lot of time growing up in the Midwest. And what got me hooked on music was the same year I saw Otis Rush, I saw B.B. King. I saw both of those gentlemen live performances in Otis Rush in a small nightclub, B.B. King in a concert, opening up for a band, the rock band at the time that was pretty famous, called a Quicksilver Messenger Service. And I'm laughing because I'm laughing about that. If you know, you know. And by the time I got to that exposure to B.B. King, I already knew what he was going to do, which was going to be to steal the show from the headliner, because he wasn't headlining that particular night. And I proved to be right about that. So my heart was taken hostage by the music probably before then, but I had very, very visceral experiences being in the audience for Otis Rush and B.B. King. And it really, really took me. And that I needed to be taken, from my life, away from my mind, away from my sorrow, and everything else that I didn't understand I was feeling and what was happening, because I was a young kid in a lot of trouble,
Yeah.
you know.
What was it that attracted you to the blues originally?
I was hanging around older musicians. I was in a position to be exposed to live music in clubs. I had a fake ID. It worked pretty good.
Mm.
Not recommend. I do not recommend that piece. But my brother's first wife, who not only survived my brother, but left him, and that's good that she did. Uh, I went to be with her. I knew she loved me. I knew that she cared about me. And so whenever I had the opportunity, I would get in her orbit. And she was hanging around a lot of musicians, and was a singer herself at a certain point, and she lived with a guy who was a guitar player. And so I was hanging around her and kind of glommed onto her. What's the say contemporary saying these days is go where the love is, and that's what I was trying to do.
Right.
Um, so whenever I could find myself in her orbit, I would do so. And that often included live music. Overall, the experience proved to be really fundamental, really important for me to be able to be around the music. I didn't understand it at the time. I couldn't articulate it, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that music spoke to me in a way that I desperately needed, and it spoke to the place in me where I had no words. I had no words to say what it was that had happened, and that what was happening to me and with me and in my life, what my experiences were. But the music was a uh, balm. It was such a soothing space for me that I
Mm-hmm.
just chased that, man. I chased that experience. I chased that exchange. What
Yeah.
happens that comes off the bandstand and would hit me in the chest and change the way I felt, and I needed to change the way I felt.
I wanna go home, but I ain't got sufficient clothes. Doggone my bad luck so I ain't got no money, and my job done closed. I would call that old man, but I'm afraid he may explode. My man done quit me, my husband too. Doggone my bad luck so I ain't got nobody, and I don't know what to do. They say things will get better, but I don't believe that's true.
Would you say that music or singing saved you in a way?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Mm.
And I didn't have at the time, as a young girl, I didn't have the language for that. I didn't have the language. It didn't exist for me to be able to say, I really need some help here. I really need um, to feel differently. I really need to feel better than I do. I really need to not um, despise myself so
Mm.
much.
Right.
I need to understand uh, that I'm not alone. I couldn't articulate those things then.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you find that singing some of the songs in your earliest recordings or performances that you were sort of escaping in them and becoming another character through the songs, or were you always very much yourself?
Oh, no, 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 no. I don't think I started to really be myself until I don't know, until I was seriously pursuing professional singing. And then it took some time from the point of beginning to seriously pursue professional singing to actually being able to do that, sing a song and somebody gives me money. That's how we draw the line for professional, isn't it? And then um owning it. From
Mm.
that point to owning it,
Mhm.
that was a long time. But yeah, so it, and there's all this research now, there's all this data with regard to, you know, the healing frequencies and sound baths and blah 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 blah. There's all this stuff, and I think it's great. I
Mhm.
think it's exquisite, but it isn't a brand new experience just because we now have language for it. It's been going on forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Music therapy.
Yep.
That's what you were seeking, I guess, at that young age, right?
Well, I needed something. I needed some help. I needed a lot of help. I was from a pretty broken home. Uh, as the story goes. And my parents weren't bad people, but they were very sick. And, that sickness resonated through generations and down into their children. And we were not unaffected.
Right.
Ultimately, my parents took their own lives. And I was a kid when that happened. I was just 13 years old when my mom decided to take her own life. And that I understand that very differently today than I did at the time. And then my dad, less than 3 years later, made the same decision.
Bury him at the crossroads where the dirt is sinking down. Bury him at the crossroads where the dirt is sinking down. Where there ain't no sign of telling which way is back to town.
Who were the voices that were really influencing you or that inspired you to become a singer?
It started with my father. My father had a beautiful singing voice. And he would, when he was good, when the child was good, they were very, very good. And when they were bad, they were horrid, I think is the old part of the old childhood nursery rhyme. And when he was good, he was very, very good. And there were times when he would sing to us. I loved to lay in the hammock in the backyard in the summertime with him, and he would sing songs and he would sing along with records. And he had a beautiful, beautiful singing voice. He played harmonica, who knew, and really well. And, I'm sure that was a tremendous amount of imprint for me. And later, whatever was on the radio, I would sing along. I was like this kid. I was the kid that was the minor bird. I could sing along with everybody on the radio. I never had a problem understanding James Brown. I never had a problem understanding Mick Jagger. Two very challenging people, by the way.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
look at those early records, it's like, what'd they say? You got to wait, what? Play that again. Play it again. And so I could sing along with all the commercials on television. I could do all of that. My siblings couldn't do that. But it was just like I would just zone straight into it. I'd go right into the music, whatever it was, even a 60-second, 30-second commercial, and I could memorize very quickly and very easily, and that's what I did. So if there had been someone paying close attention, they might have seen a singer or a musician. Didn't have the benefit of that. So, but I love to sing even then, and I love to put on shows. Oh, for anybody, but I couldn't get anybody to engage in that with me. So I would herd the cat and the dogs, however many of those we had at the time. And I'd get them all in my bedroom and I'd shut the door. And then I'd like put on every petticoat I had because I had a bunch of petticoats back then. My mom sewed and she made all that stuff. And I would put on shows cat and dog, you know, and until something would happen and then I'd have to let them out of the room. But, you know, that was like, so it was obviously a very natural, instinctive thing for me to be drawn to. Later on, the influences, actual recorded influences, um, especially the blues,
Mhm.
would be Coco Taylor, would be uh, uh, James Brown records, would be the early Aretha Franklin material that I would hear on the radio, would be um, the British invasion rock bands that were heavily influenced by blues, would ultimately be Etta James and Coco Taylor again. Later on, Billie Holiday, but I'm very, I have all of Billie's stuff. I'm pretty sure I have all of Etta's stuff. And all of Coco's stuff, but I would be very drawn to the latter Billie Holiday material where she just
Mm.
stopped trying to hide anything.
Yeah.
And it was deep, uh, very deep cut.
Yeah.
It was real obvious. And I love that. You know, if you read her book,
Mhm.
Billy's Blues, she says herself, I'm just a blues singer. The only reason I'm singing this other material is because it's popular music of the time and I need money.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was it.
I just spoke with Betty Lavette.
Yay,
Yeah.
Betty.
Oh, she's amazing. She's 80. She's 80 years old now. Yeah, she's incredible, but she was talking about, mimicking the singers of the day, also in Detroit.
Yep.
And sort of getting trapped in that and not trusting the sound of her own voice. So that's a good question for you. Were you ever trapped in mimicking other singers, and did you have to find your own sound?
I did have to find my own sound. I never framed it as trapped. Um, but it is part of how I learned and how we learn, I believe, you know. I was taught early on when I um uh decided I was gonna try and sing and give myself some voice lessons. I found a singer that I really liked who was, you know, in the 70s, who was like in the clubs in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and she could do all of it. Man, she could do it all. She could, meaning every singer that was out there on the radio, she could do it, and she was brilliant. And her name was Gail Gunderson, and um, she I went to her and I said, you know, I'm a huge fan. And she was like, that's nice, honey, whatever. And I said, well, I just wonder, you know, I really don't know what I'm doing. And I wonder if you would consider giving me, do you give voice lessons at all? And she kind of stopped and she said, why do you want voice lessons? And I said, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. And but I just know I gotta do
Mm.
this thing. Oh God, I was so young and green. And she said, okay, okay, here's my number. And I called her and she started to give me very um, unconventional singing lessons. But it wasn't just singing lessons, it was also how you approach this. So it was some performance related stuff, how you approach the stage, how you hold yourself, what you do, what you don't do. And the fundamental first thing that she taught me about learning a song was to learn to sing it note for note the way it is on the record. You can make it your own later, but do this other thing first,
Mhm.
because you're never going to be Aretha. You're just not. But if you can sing it note for note, pick it out however long it takes you, note for note, start there.
Mm.
And so I never felt so much trapped in mimicking other artists as much as I did hopeful that I could hit those notes. Mind you, I'm not saying be as good as or be better than, because I just wasn't going to happen for me. But to hit all those notes and then take it from there.
Mhm.
Because once I learn the melody structure properly, then I can go into do the deep dive into what the story is.
Right.
But let me get the notes first, and then I'll go the deep dive into the story,
Mhm.
which is the part where, as you know, we if we're lucky and on a good day, we crack our hearts open,
Mhm.
and then we enter the story and try to articulate that.
Today I passed a dreaming man, dead asleep in a patch of grass. Empty bottle by his hand, thought of you as I hurried past. Well, I thought of you, and I'm thinking still about that hole you just can't fill. Every day is an act of will. Weeds like us are hard to kill. Weeds like us, so hard to kill.
What changed for you when you started writing original music? I think it was stronger for it was when you first started recording some co-written originals, and then you followed it up with the original and the album original of all originals. So what changed for you as a performer, I guess, when you were now singing your own words?
There was a big fat exhale for me there.
Hmm.
So I didn't want to be a writer. I had no intention of being a writer. I was married to a very prolific songwriter. I loved him deeply. I had no intention of ever being with anyone else. And he left after 17 years of marriage. And I was decimated. And the one thing I didn't want to have on the table that I had very quietly and privately, because it's none of your business, resisted doing in the course of that marriage was to try to write, because I was afraid that what if I sucked? And then there was the fear behind that, which is, what if I didn't suck? What if I was actually good, or God forbid, pretty good or really good at that? That would just be another thing that would be on the table that could cause problems between he and I didn't. So that really was like a very fixed place in my mind. And as is often the case, I didn't understand exactly until quite a bit later more about that. My therapist at the time and other people, girlfriends, because gotta have girlfriends, kept saying, because he's so talented. He was so talented and so gifted. I just couldn't see. And they're like, he's jealous of you. I'm like, there's no way. He is not. There's not. That he's like, he's professionally jealous of you. I'm like, no, can't see it. La 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 la. And when he left, and I was able to pick myself up again, which took a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Then my producer was like, okay, so you think you're ready now? Because he'd been bugging me for years. Don't you think we could write some stuff? And I was like, yeah, not going to happen. Not doing it. Forget it. And so then it was like, well, how about now? And then I went and I was out on tour, and I was in Nashville doing a show, and Gary Nicholson and Colin Linden were there. They were opening the show, which was another stunning thing. I'm like, I should be opening for you guys. You guys are like way too. And they're like, nope, it's us. We're doing it as a duo. Shut up. And I got off the stage after my set, and Gary comes up to me and he goes, "That was really incredible. Thank you." Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Oh man, thank you." And I waited about 3 beats and I just looked at him and I said, "My husband, I'm getting it. He's leaving."
Mm.
And both him and Colin went, "Oh, we're so sorry." And then Gary looked at me and he went, "I bet you're going to get some really good songs out of this."
Yeah.
When I was like, "Oh my God, stab me in the eye. Like, don't even like get away from me with the songwriting crap." But by the time I got home, I was like,
Mm.
okay.
Mhm.
I guess the one place I had my heels dug in isn't there anymore. So okay. And what came out of that was I Won't Cry. And that went on to an Alligator record.
Uh-huh.
And then it got a lot of recognition. There's a Song of the Year back there.
Yeah.
It got Song of the Year at the BMAs. It got Song of the Year from the Blues Blast magazine, which is a Chicago-based blues organization. It got a lot of recognition, and I was stunned.
Wow.
But took it as a big fat message from the universe. So you need to follow this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how that started. I know that was long-winded, but I think that the devil's in the details, because what I thought was unsurvivable pain
Mm.
turned out to be a gift.
The harder the words, the colder the night, the closer the hand, the sharper the knife, the tighter I hold on, the further you seem to fly. I get cut and I might bleed, but I won't cry. The bigger the love, the blacker the bruise, the less that you give, the more I could use. The longer you hold out, the farther I have to fly. I get cut and I might bleed, but I won't cry.
Where does your voice come from? So some people feel that it is a spiritual experience, or that you're channeling or a messenger for a higher power, inner being, or something like this. Maybe it's just purely physical, genetic, generational. What is it for you? Where does your voice come from?
It's a great question.
Mhm.
There's a certain amount of mystery to it, I suppose, still for me. I want to make sure that I have command of my instrument so that I can show up
Mhm.
for the job. I understand the job today. Finally, I understand that the job is connection, that this is the job, y'all. Boom, boom. That's the job, to connect with the audience. And the biggest deterrent to that is this.
Mm.
It's my head chatter, thinking, la, 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 la. And so my job in that way is to get out of the way.
Mm.
I'm somewhat superstitious about it. I do believe that the muse does exist, and I don't want to deny her.
Mm.
I feel like it comes through me on a good day if I'm doing everything right, if I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and be open and have command of my instrument and have warmed up properly, so that I'm not, you know, getting, tripping and stumbling on stuff physically with the vocal cords or the lungs or the entire apparatus, which really is our whole body, as it turns out. So I think it comes through me
Mm.
more than from me.
Mm.
And other than having control of my instrument and control of, so there's some control stuff going on here. Control of my instrument, control of the band, because that's real.
Mhm.
Um, and what that means is being very selective about the players and how we are together on a stage
Mm.
in performance. That's very important. So having the right combination of players, that's what I'm talking about, control. So, people that will support me so that we all collectively support each other. So we can do our job, which is to make the connection with the audience.
Mhm.
I want to be able to just get out of the way. It's a little bit probably like body surfing
Hmm.
and laying in the ocean and being a part of that experience.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen if I've got people on bandstand with me that are disrespectful.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen if I got somebody that's too loud and won't listen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen if I've got somebody that thinks that I'm just a woman.
I would like to say a few words. There's something weighing on my mind. It's become the perfect time. You think you're badass. You think I'm waiting around. But I'm not. I'm not.
What do you do to care for your voice, especially when you're touring on the road?
I do take very, very good care of my voice. I am very careful. When I'm on tour, 95% of the time, I don't talk.
Hmm.
I shut up.
Yeah.
Hard for me to do, obviously, if you've been listening to this interview. It's speaking is one of the most offensive things for the vocal cords. And then go ahead and speak over car noise or white noise of any kind, restaurant, nightclub, concert venue, whatever it is. I don't talk a whole lot. I save my voice in that way. I
Mhm.
steam. I always do vocal warm-ups before a performance. Religiously
Hmm.
with the vocal warm-ups. And I steam. I
Yeah.
steam before. Sometimes I'll steam in the middle if there's some sort of a break,
Mhm.
and I'll steam at the end.
Okay.
And that's purified water, sometimes with a pinch of salt in it or something like that, which basically makes a saline, which reduces the inflammation on the vocal cords.
Mhm.
Because vocal cords are basically rubber bands, as we know. And then there's diet, stress reduction, exercise, all of that stuff. It's all, and I'm really religious about that on the road. I'm pretty good at home, but I'm super religious about it on the road. I love to go on the road because then it's like the only thing for the most part, I'm focused on is the show, the
Yeah.
performance, my contribution to the performance that night, and everything else gets pushed aside. And it's a lovely, delicious sort of place.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the album that came out last year. I have to say the title track, Back for Me, is it's so powerful. It is so powerful and incredible singing. But what was that album about? Where'd that come from?
That was, I owed the record company an album.
One.
I wanted to do covers of some other interpretations, more interpretive representation rather than songwriting. Owed the record company, like I said, an album and didn't really have time to do the writing. I am a slow songwriter. I'm not fast unless it just comes through me, and then I'm fast. But mostly I'm slow. Mostly it's a challenging process for me, and that's okay. It's just where it's at. So, but that song was written by this songwriter that I know who the song is just devastating, and he was going through a divorce at the time, and you can hear it in the storyline. All the songs were chosen because and they always are, I have a deep connection to the story, right? Songs are like snapshots or Polaroids, if you will, for those of us that remember what a Polaroid is. And, you know, so yeah, it's a snapshot, and everything's chosen because I can deeply connect with it and relate to it. But that song particular is about that moment in the loss of a relationship or the loss of a marriage where you have not accepted it, that it's over.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what that moment is. You know, I know you're coming back for me. I know you are. You're going to come back for me. I know you.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back.
I know that you're gonna leave, but I'll be right here when you come back for me. Come back for me. Come back for me, baby, baby, when you come back for me.
You've seen the industry change a lot over your career. What are you thinking about today's industry? Pass? You can pass if you want.
Be nice, be nice. Let me frame it this way. People need connection. The human race needs connection. Everything that's been so heavily digitized and quantified in order to make more money for big business. And we are seeing the consequence of that in spades right now in the world, in culture, or the lack of it. AI, the ultimate transgression as far as I'm concerned when it comes to art. So human beings need art. We need it. We need the experience of art. We need to be spoken to in the place where we have no words, because I believe everybody's got that spot. There's no words for that, whatever the thing is that's happening. I don't have the language for it, but let me turn on the radio. Yeah. Let me go to a show and see actual musicians with actual instruments doing their craft. God, I feel so much better. God, I feel so much better. And people desperately need that. We desperately need that in the world. And I believe that that will be the, if you will, executive override. It's already starting to happen. Young people are like, they don't want to be on social media. They don't want to look at their phones anymore. Yeah. They want to like read a book or have a conversation with their friends. You know, there's this new app called Meet for Coffee, where a bunch of people just they pick a spot and then they all go meet for coffee and they talk to each other.
For real.
Like it's some sort of radical, like this is some sort of like revelation, you know? And I believe that that desire it already is overriding the machine.
Yeah.
The machine, and when I say that, I mean that in the big sense of corporate machinery. It will override the machine.
Push back.
And I believe that to be true. I'm not saying it's going to be that it's prettier or not bloody, because it's kind of ugly and messy. But at the end of the day, I believe that we will prevail because of it.
Yeah.
So that's a big broad stroke for where do I think it's at for that's with the business of music. I think that we just need to keep doing our craft, keep singing, keep writing, keep playing, keep doing it in the face of everything that says that doesn't make sense, don't do it.
Yeah. Yep.
That finger.
Yeah.
Do it. Just do it, because humanity needs it desperately. It will be the way through.
Yeah.
At least one of the ways through is art. What do you think artists, like people, this isn't for you to, but I mean, it's not a question to you, Karen, but because I think you know it, but artists' job in times of such turmoil is to reflect that and create art from it.
Yeah.
So do your job.
Big wheels keep on turning, just like Sister Tina sang. I walk slow when bridges are burning. A good 20 years, I never saw the light of day. Oh, Echo Bodine said the spirits are watching over me. Oh, and I'll be kicking and screaming to the finish line. Crash my car off the side of a hill, drank a bottle of Jack and took a whole lot of pills. I'm bad business for the devil, cause I'm so hard to kill. Like my mama's mama, I'm strong as steel, strong as steel.
If you had to put one song in every show for your entire career, what song would it be and why?
I can't pick one. That's changed over time.
Yeah.
It used to be Evil Gal Blues by Dinah Washington. And then after that, it was a song that, that Billie Holiday wrote called Billie's Blues. And then it was God Bless the Child, which Billie also actually was a part of penning. And then it was The Soul of a Man, which is a Fontella Bass song. Okay, so Fontella Bass had a big hit, one big hit called Rescue Me. And it was released on a 45, and you flip it over and it's a B-side. And I'm a huge fan of B-side material anyway. Yeah, The Soul of a Man. And it's a beautiful song. And then after that, it was, you know, You Were Never Mine. And then I had to stop singing that song for a while because it hurt too much.
Right.
And so, I mean, it goes on and on and on. So it changes. I don't have one. I can't properly answer that.
I saw someone again today who remembered me and you. They ask all the same old questions. I gave the same excuse. They said, what a shame, what a shame to lose a love so fine. But I never lost you. I never really lost you. I never lost you. You were never mine. I kept on believing what I wanted to believe. The unspoken promises, them that you could never keep. But it's a sin, oh, it's a sin. Tell yourself a lie. I never lost you. I never lost you. I never lost you. You were never mine. Did you give me all that you gave me? Just because I needed you. But when I needed all your love completely, was it more than you could do? Sometimes deep in the night, when I hold you in my dreams, I get lost in your love and touch me. I can't believe how real it seems. And I know, Lord, I know I'll have you till the end of time. 'Cause I never lost you. I never lost you. I never lost you. 'Cause you were never mine. I never lost you. I never really lost you. How could I lose you? 'Cause you were never mine.
If you could give any advice to a new singer or somebody just picking it up to begin with, what would you share with them?
Get control of your instrument, whatever that takes. You count your own songs off. Don't leave that in somebody else's lap, because when it's wrong,
You're stuck.
you're stuck.
Mhm.
And you know, take really, really, really good care of your voice and your spirit, and do whatever you have to do to get out of the way. If you have what I have, and it's a very chattery head, and it'll tell me that, my wardrobe doesn't look right, my hair's fucked up, my makeup is really terrible, why do I still have that like little flap under my chin, and I hate that thing, when did that show up, and they don't like me, and why does that person in the front row look so angry, they're looking right at me, and I just can't even
Mm-mm.
get out of the way. See, that's me in the way. That's me going, blah, 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 blah. Don't be vulnerable. Da, 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 da. Don't give them your spirit. Don't give them your heart. And whatever I have to do to set that aside
Mhm.
whatever disciplines I need. In my case, it's a lot of yoga, it's meditation, it's make sure I get enough sleep, because when I don't get enough sleep, that voice is even louder,
Mhm.
so that I can do my job and let the sound come through me, you know,
Mhm.
um, and keep trying no matter what. Keep trying,
Yeah.
because it's a lot of especially in the beginning, it's a lot of falling down. It's a lot of falling down. Get back up. Just get up.
Mhm.
You know, if you have to crawl over in the corner for a while, fine, but get back up,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because we need you.
Beautiful. Well, Janiva, it's a
Welcome.
thrill to get to talk to you. And I know that everyone listening will have taken so much of what you had to say. So thank you again.
I hope so. Thanks, Karen. I appreciate it. Stay warm. It's weird out there.
And thank you for joining us for this interview with vocalist JANIVA MAGNESS. To learn more about JANIVA, visit janivamagness.com. And to hear more, click the link in the description box below for the title playlist inspired by today's episode. If you enjoyed La Voce Vita, please share it and subscribe to the Karen Myatt YouTube channel, or visit karenmyatt.ca for more news and information. Follow us on social media and click the bell to be notified when we release a new episode. Finally, we want to hear from you. If you have a question, a suggestion, a request, or music to share, feel free to send us a note in the comments below or at karenmyatt.ca/message. Until next time, I'm Karen Myatt, and thanks for listening to La Voce Vita.